Jane Foley of Rabobank writing the dollar will be more sensitive to poor data releases in the coming weeks than to good. Either way, it's time to reassess the outlook for the greenback. Jane joins us now for more. Jane, welcome to the programme. What data are you focused on?
You know what, any data, I think at this point, but particularly, of course, the labour data and the CPI data, if and when we get it. But, you know, we all know that that's going to be pretty confusing, perhaps, and in October it will be affected by those shutdowns. But I think we learned something, particularly yesterday, about positioning for the US dollar, and that is probably going to tell us how the dollar is going to react. Because when that ADP data came out yesterday, the dollar sold off perhaps more aggressively than I thought it would on that data. And that, I think, tells us that the market isn't quite so short of the dollar anymore. And we've got to remember that whilst the dollar remains the worst performing G10 currency in the year to date, actually it's done pretty well in the second half of the year to date. And yesterday, after that data, you know, it was the Norwegian krone that was the best performer. But, you know, last week it was the dollar that was the best performing G10 currency in the year in the second half of the year to date. And now I think we're in this more balanced position for the dollar. And that, I think, is going to be crucial going into these data numbers.
In your words, it's time to reassess the outlook for the greenback. Jane, against what? Is it against the single currency, the euro, or the story of the moment, the Japanese yen?
You know, I think all of these, but I think the yen has got its perhaps bigger fundamentals. We saw what seemed to be a little bit more verbal intervention by the new finance minister in the Japanese parliament this morning, a little bit more pushback. She appears to be becoming more uncomfortable with the yen. And actually, we had some indications out earlier in the week from the Bank of Japan with respect to their previous policy meeting. You know, we can't write off the risk of a December interest rate hike from the Bank of Japan. That is still going to be, you know, very much so a live meeting. So, you know, there is the possibility that we do get maybe an interest rate hike, that we may even get intervention. I think the market is going to be wary about 155 on dollar yen. So there is very much a yen story going on there. As very much there is a cable story, a sterling story going on. But, you know, the common denominator here is the dollar, and it doesn't seem to have an awful lot of strong direction right now.